First contact and response. The signal arrived on a Tuesday. Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen was monitoring the Deep Space Array at Outpost Horizon, Earth's furthest listening post on the edge of the Kuiper Belt. After 8 months of routine scans, she had grown accustomed to the empty static of space. But today was different. "Captain Reynolds," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm detecting an artificial pattern at frequency 422.7 NH. Definitely not natural." Captain Eliza Reynolds abandoned her coffee and crossed the monitoring station in 3 quick strides. Her weathered face, lined from 20 years in space service, leaned over the console. "How long has it been transmitting?" she asked. "Unknown, sir. It's faint, but distinct. The pattern repeats precisely every 183 seconds. Reynolds studied the waveform on the screen, a series of pulses that couldn't possibly be random. "Run it through the SETI protocols." Maya had already started the analysis. The advanced algorithms designed to detect intelligence and cosmic noise were highlighting patterns too precise to be natural phenomena. But what made her breath catch was the translation matrix showing basic mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the value of pi, and what appeared to be coordinates. "Sir," she said, barely above a whisper, "I think it's a message." Within 30 minutes, the signal had been verified, encrypted, and transmitted to Earth. 6 hours later, Dr. Sanjay Mehta, the foremost xenolinguistics expert at the Global Space Initiative, confirmed what they already suspected. Humanity had received its first verified communication from an extraterrestrial civilization. But it wasn't a greeting. It was a cry for help. The United Earth Defense Council convened in Geneva 24 hours after the signal's confirmation. 12 representatives from Earth's unified regions sat around a circular table designed to eliminate power hierarchies, a symbolic gesture that often failed in practice. Admiral Viktor Kozlov, commander of Earth's combined fleet, stood at the center of the chamber. At 62, his silver hair and stern demeanor reflected decades of military service during humanity's tumultuous unification wars. The signal originates from the HD 85512 system, approximately 36 light-years from Earth, he explained, activating a holographic display of the star system. Based on signal degradation, we estimate it was sent between 50 and 70 years ago. Counselor Amara Okafor from the African Coalition leaned forward. "And we're certain it's a distress call." Dr. Mehta nodded from his position beside the Admiral. "The linguistic structure indicates urgency. There are repeated sequences that suggest danger, approach, and request for assistance. The mathematical universal language is clear." "So they're already dead," stated Counselor Jackson from North America bluntly. "If this was sent 70 years ago, whatever disaster they faced has long since played out." "Perhaps," Admiral Kozlov conceded. "Or perhaps not. We don't know their lifespan, their technological capabilities, or the nature of the threat they face." Council President Maria Alvarez raised her hand for silence. "The question before this council is not whether they still need our help, but whether humanity will answer a call when others reach out to us. What we decide today defines who we are as a species." The debate lasted hours. Some argued for caution, sending an unmanned probe first to assess the situation. Others worried about revealing Earth's location to potentially hostile forces. But as the discussion continued, a consensus began to emerge. "We have built the Prometheus fleet for exactly this kind of situation," Admiral Kozlov reminded them. 7 warships designed for deep space operations, equipped with our most advanced weapons and defensive systems. They've never been deployed beyond our solar system because we've never had cause. Until now, Alvarez finished for him. The vote was not unanimous, but the majority prevailed. Humanity would answer the call. Captain Asher Dalton stood on the observation deck of the UES Athena, the flagship of the Prometheus fleet. At 43, he had been selected to lead this historic mission based on his tactical brilliance and adaptability. The fleet represented the pinnacle of human military engineering. 7 warships designed after the Resource Wars had forced humanity to develop weapons of unprecedented power. The Athena was massive, nearly 1 kilometer long, with a crew of 3,000. Its sleek, angular design concealed weapon systems capable of unleashing forces that could shatter small moons. Alongside it floated 6 other vessels: the Artemis, Ares, Apollo, Hermes, Hephaestus, and Heracles, each specialized for different combat roles. "Magnificent, aren't they?" said a voice behind him. Dalton turned to see Chief Science Officer Dr. Elena Vasquez approaching. As the fleet's leading xenobiologist and the person responsible for first contact protocols, she would work closely with him throughout the mission. "They've never fired a shot in anger," Dalton replied. "Built as a deterrent, never meant to be used. And yet here we are, taking them to answer an alien distress call." Dalton nodded, his expression thoughtful. Ironic that our instruments of war might become instruments of salvation. Throughout the fleet, final preparations were underway. In the Athena's Marine Bay, Colonel Marcus Wee drilled his troops on first contact scenarios and possible combat situations. In the medical wing, Dr. Lion Song oversaw the stocking of supplies designed to treat not just humans, but potentially alien physiologies. "All department heads report ready status, Captain," announced Commander Olivia Chen, Dalton's executive officer. Her efficiency was legendary within the fleet. "What about our special passenger?" Dalton asked. "Dr. Mehta has settled into his quarters. He's still working on refining the translation algorithms based on the signal data." Dalton nodded. The xenolinguist's presence was crucial. If anyone survived at their destination, communication would be vital. As the departure time approached, Dalton addressed the combined crews of all 7 ships from the Athena's bridge. "Men and women of the Prometheus fleet, today we embark on the most significant mission in human history. We travel to answer a call for help from another civilization among the stars. We don't know what we'll find. Survivors in need of assistance, or perhaps only the echoes of a lost people. But we go to show that humanity answers when called." He paused, looking at the determined faces on his bridge. "We carry with us not just the hopes of Earth, but a fundamental promise that in this vast universe, no cry for help should go unanswered. Prepare for departure." The massive antimatter engines of the 7 warships ignited simultaneously. The fleet accelerated away from Earth, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight as they moved beyond the orbit of Mars. When they reached the calculated jump point, the fabric of space itself seemed to bend and twist around them. In a flash of brilliant light, the Prometheus fleet vanished into the depths of interstellar space, humanity's deadliest weapons speeding toward an unknown fate, carrying a message of their own. Earth had heard the call, and Earth had answered. Battle beyond the stars. The transition back to normal space was silent but not gentle. Captain Asher Dalton gripped his command chair as the Athena's massive hull shuddered around him. The view screens flickered from the distortion of folded space before stabilizing to show a distant yellow star. HD 85,512. "Transition complete," reported Navigator Kaito Ikeda. "All ships present and accounted for." "Full sensor sweep," Dalton ordered. "I want to know everything about this system." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, each focused on their station. The 7 ships of the Prometheus fleet maintained their defensive formation as they gathered information about their surroundings. "Captain," called Lieutenant Commander Rivera from the sensor station, her voice tight. "I'm detecting massive radiation signatures from the 3rd planet, the source of the distress signal." "On screen," Dalton commanded. The main view screen showed an image that silenced the bridge. What should have been a habitable world was now a scared, broken sphere. Vast portions of its surface glowed with residual heat, while others showed the characteristic patterns of massive impact events. The planet's atmosphere was gone, its oceans boiled away. "Life signs?" Dr. Vasquez asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "None, Doctor," Rivera replied softly, "The planet is dead." Dr. Mehta stepped forward, his face pale. This was their homeworld. This is what they were warning about. "How long ago did this happen?" Dalton asked. The science officer consulted her readings. Based on radiation decay and cooling patterns, approximately 3 to 5 months ago. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. They had arrived too late to save the civilization that had called for help. "Captain," Rivera's voice cut through the silence. "Urgent now. Multiple contacts detected near the fourth planet. Artificial structures and ships in motion." Dalton straightened in his chair. "Details. 2 distinct types of vessels, sir. A group of smaller ships with organic-looking designs are being pursued by larger crystalline structures. Energy weapons being discharged. The energy signature from the smaller vessels matches the distress call pattern," added Commander Chen, analyzing the data. Dalton exchanged a look with Admiral Kozlov, who had joined them on the bridge. The older man nodded once. "Battle stations," Dalton ordered, and the ship's alert system immediately sounded throughout the fleet. "All ships to combat formation Delta. We're moving to intercept." As red alert lights flashed throughout the Athena, Dalton opened a channel to the fleet. "This is Captain Dalton. We have identified survivors from the civilization that sent the distress call. They are under attack by unknown hostile forces. We are moving to engage. Primary objective is to protect the surviving ships. Secondary objective is to neutralize the hostile force." The Prometheus fleet accelerated toward the conflict, weapon systems powering up as they approached. The Apollo and Hermes, designed for speed, shot ahead to reach the fleeing aliens first, while the Athena and Ares moved to engage the largest of the crystalline pursuers. On the tactical display, Dalton could see the battle unfolding. The surviving alien vessels, 11 small ships with sleek, almost aquatic designs, were barely staying ahead of their pursuers. The crystalline ships, 23 in total, moved with mechanical precision, firing energy weapons that twisted space itself around their targets. "Enemy vessels have altered course," reported Rivera. "They're moving to engage us. They've noticed the new players on the field," muttered Admiral Kozlov. Dalton studied the approaching formation. The crystal ships moved in perfect geometric patterns, maintaining exact distances from each other. "Too perfect. Their formation hasn't changed since they spotted us," he observed. "No adaptation to the new threat. Overconfidence," suggested Commander Chen. "Or limited tactical programming," Dalton replied. "Either way, we can use it against them." As the distance closed, tension on the bridge increased. This would be humanity's first battle with an alien species, a moment that would be recorded in history books, if any of them survived to write them. "Enemy ships and weapons range in 30 seconds, announced the tactical officer. Dalton's expression hardened. "All ships maintain formation. Hold fire until my command." The crystal ships continued their approach, showing no signs of changing course. 20 seconds. 10. "They're powering up weapons," reported Rivera. The space between the fleets lit up as the crystal ships fired first. Brilliant beams of energy shot toward the human vessels, distorting the space they passed through. Impact was imminent when Dalton gave the order, "Activate shield modulators." The advanced defensive systems of the Prometheus fleet, developed during Earth's resource wars, shifted to counteract the energy signatures of the incoming weapons. The beams struck the shields and dispersed, causing them to flare brilliantly but hold. "Shields at 92% and holding," reported the defense officer. "Their weapons are powerful, but our adaptive shields are compensating." Dalton allowed himself a small smile. "Return fire. All batteries. Target their propulsion systems first. I want some of these ships intact enough to study." The Athena's main weapon system activated, not firing lasers or projectiles, but creating focused gravitational distortions in space itself. These invisible forces grabbed the nearest crystal ship and literally twisted it in multiple directions at once. On the main screen, everyone watched as the enemy vessel fractured along its perfect lines, breaking apart like shattered glass. Around the Athena, the rest of the human fleet engaged with coordinated precision. The smaller, faster Apollo and Hermes darted between the crystal ships, drawing fire before accelerating away, leading the confused enemies into the waiting guns of the Ares and Hephaestus. "The enemy ships aren't coordinating their defense," observed Commander Chen. "They're fighting like individual units, not a fleet." "They've never needed to before," Admiral Kozlov replied, studying the battle. "Look at the debris around that dead planet. These creatures are used to overwhelming their enemies with superior technology. They don't understand tactics." A destroyer took a direct hit from one of the crystal ships, its shields flaring brightly. "Hermes reports minor damage," Chen said. "Shields at 60%, but still combat effective." Dalton nodded and watched the tactical display. The human ships were moving in complex, ever-changing patterns while the crystal ships maintained rigid formations. It was like watching experienced dancers fight against automatons. "The alien vessels we rescued are regrouping behind our lines," Chen reported. "They're transmitting some kind of signal. Dr. Mehta believes they're trying to communicate." "Tell Dr. Mehta to focus on establishing contact," Dalton ordered, "and have the Artemis move to protect them. They're our primary objective." 20 minutes into the battle, the tide had clearly turned. 8 crystal ships had been destroyed completely, and 5 more were damaged and drifting. The human fleet had suffered moderate damage to 2 ships, but no critical systems were compromised. "The smaller enemy vessels are beginning to retreat," Chen announced. "They're accelerating toward the edge of the system." "Let them go," Dalton ordered. "Focus fire on the remaining large vessels." The Athena's gravity weapons fired again, catching 2 medium-sized crystal ships in the same field. The ships crashed into each other, breaking apart on impact. 40 minutes after the first shot, the battle was effectively over. The remaining crystal ships had fled, leaving their damaged companions behind. The human fleet had won decisively. "Cease fire," Dalton ordered. "All ships report status." As damage reports came in, Dr. Mehta entered the bridge, his face excited. "Captain, we've established basic communication with the aliens we rescued. Their language structure is complex, but we've managed to create a simple translation matrix." "Put them on screen," Dalton ordered. The main view screen changed to show the interior of one of the rescued alien ships. The creature that appeared made several bridge officers gasp quietly. It had a body covered in translucent skin that shifted colors like a living prism. 4 limbs extended from a central core that pulsed with inner light. What appeared to be its face featured multiple sensory organs arranged in a spiral pattern. "We are receiving a transmission," reported the communications officer. "Feeding it through the translation program now." Text appeared below the alien's image. "You came. You answered. When all hope was lost, you brought fire against our destroyers." Dalton stood up and faced the screen. "I am Captain Asher Dalton of the Earth vessel Athena. We received your distress signal and came to help." After a moment for translation, the alien's skin rippled with waves of golden light. The translator displayed its response. "I am Elder Luminous Wave, final guardian of the Meridian people. For generations we have flooded the Crystal Collective, watching our worlds fall one by one. We sent our cry into the darkness of space, hoping someone would hear. We heard you," Dalton said simply. "And we came. Your weapons," the alien's text read. "They harm the collective. Nothing has harmed them like this before." "How?" Admiral Kozlov stepped forward. "Sometimes fresh eyes see weaknesses that others miss. We've had our own wars. We've learned our own lessons." The alien's color darkened. "My homeworld is gone. Billions of my people are dead. The ships you see are all that remain of our civilization." The bridge fell silent. Dr. Vasquez wiped a tear from her eye. "You are welcome to come with us," Dalton said finally. "Earth has room. We can help you rebuild." The alien's color lightened slightly. "There are others of my kind hiding in nearby systems. If you would help us gather them." "We will," Dalton promised. This is just the beginning. 3 months later, Captain Dalton and Admiral Kaslov stood before the United Earth Defense Council with Elder Luminous Wave. The Meridians were an ancient race of scientists and philosophers who had been systematically hunted by the Crystal Collective, a hive-minded artificial intelligence that had evolved beyond its creator's control. The Collective had already consumed 17 star systems, converting all matter into more of its crystalline ships. The Meridians' advanced biotechnology and knowledge of cosmic phenomena complemented humanity's tactical expertise and weapons technology perfectly. The Council voted unanimously to form the Earth Meridian Defense Alliance. The Prometheus fleet received new orders, lead an expanded force into collective territory, and begin pushing them back. As preparations began for humanity's first planned interstellar campaign, Elder Luminous Wave approached Captain Dalton privately. When we sent our signal across the stars, the alien communicated, "We hoped for compassion. We never expected to receive warriors." Dalton's response was measured but powerful. Humanity has learned that sometimes compassion requires strength. We've become what the universe needed us to be. What started as a desperate signal across space had transformed into a powerful alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Humanity, once confined to a single world, had emerged onto the cosmic stage not as conquerors or victims, but as protectors. And throughout the stars, word began to spread of the species that answered a desperate call, bringing with them the deadliest fleet the galaxy had ever known.